Rise and shine your light in opulence, my solution seekers. It's your girl, the spiritual activist, coming to you with another video. This video is going to touch on series of, my interactions with medical professionals in hospital settings, clinical settings, whatever, things that I've experienced from my perspective. And, I don't always want to just talk about race, but I call things as I see it, and I'm only speaking from my perspective. And if it quacks like a duck, it's a freaking duck. So, I mean, yes, everything isn't about race. Um, the discernment is being able to gauge a person's track record, allowing second chances and putting your guards down to see things through. You know, um, Sometimes people just have bad days. They're humans. And sometimes they're I mean, it doesn't mean that they're racist. It doesn't make them a racist. Maybe they're just a jackass. I don't know. I don't know if that's better, but you get the idea. The point is that you can discern whether this was a racially or prejudice type of moment, or this was just that person's nature. But you have to realize that it's kind of hard to get past that and just be dumb about the situation, because we all have conditionings of racism and prejudices. And not everybody is aware of that being an aspect of them, and they haven't yet done the ego work to detach from that sense of self, to detach from that aspect of themselves, of that conditioning, that programming that they don't even realize they're doing in second nature. But anywho, let me get into it. So I'm gonna go into um, a recent interaction with like checkups, but in my motherhood series, I will be talking specifically about my stillbirth situation and my other son, my rainbow baby's birth after that, and those in that specific series. But this is going to be just more of a general, my wellness, women, my health concerns, normal primary care physician type stuff, like just basic checkups, basic dentist, eye, all it's kind of encompassing anything I deal with medically. So, I was having some womanly concerns and a while back, and I just wanted to check things, and so I went to the doctor, like a OB-GYN, and to do like my well woman's, the pap smear, all that, the blood work, and I was just, wanted to do like the ovulation test just to make sure everything is good, fertility wise and all these other things. And she gave me her perspective, and I was perceiving it as her brushing it off, and I didn't feel like she gave me multiple options, because I feel like sometimes this has been something I've heard from other black women, but it could be something that's general. I don't know, but sometimes as black women we feel that we're not truly being heard, and we're being rushed through the session, whatever, and we're not being validated for our concerns. Like, it's just kind of like, oh, okay, you're over exaggerating, or you can handle it, it's not that serious, it's just this, you know what I mean? So I was like, I did the test. I called back to get the results. I see the results in my little, app, but I didn't understand it. So I'm like, okay, let me just call him. And, I tried to reach out for that doctor. It's a group clinic, so there's multiple doctors, but I asked for her because she did it. Another doctor, she wasn't there. I called multiple times over a span of probably a month or so. Um, Another doctor gave me, uh, she's like, well, maybe it's probably this or that. Okay, I still was left alone, like questioned and confused. So like, we do best. We just dissociate and we just let it go. We allowed that experience to make us neglect and feel defeated. And I just kind of forgot about it until the situation arose again. I had extreme abdominal cramps, and I was rushed. I went to the hospital, and they did X-rays and the CAT scans, whatever, and I had an issue again, and I hit a brick wall, because when I tried to do the appointment with the OB-GYN, it was insurance issues and yada yada yada, and once again I felt victim. I went through the pity party phase where it was like, just giving up and allowing these situations to make me neglect my own life for the fact that I was in a triggered reactive state and thinking, it's funny when kids feel like they hurting you by being mad. I'm like, you not hurting me. Like you blocking your own best blessings. It's the same thing. Sometimes we throw tantrums and we get frustrated, and the only person we're hurting is ourselves. So, I started seeing another lady. I went to second opinion, and she just she didn't really know. She couldn't really just look at the records, and I just kind of told her, yeah, I think everything was normal, and so I finally got in touch with her like a month ago, and this was an appointment. I saw her in September of 2020. I did my test in October of 2020, and I just now talked to her a couple days ago, 2021 of April. So, and she's like, well, yeah, they were elevated. Maybe you were taking the supplement that she told me to take. And I was like, no, I hadn't taken it yet because, the testing, it wasn't that. Or whatever. Basically, the bottom line is, so it was elevated all that time, and that was an indication of a potential, issue. She's like, oh, well, were you taking any kind of other kind of supplement? I was like, no. And then she's like, well, yeah, well, we can get you back in to do the test again. And it's ovulation test, so it's checking the progesterone based on the time frame of the menstrual or period cycle, whatever. And so when I go into the lab, I'm like, you know what? She still wasn't thorough because you're asking me, when do you want to come in? When if you're doing an ovulation test, it's a certain time frame that you're supposed to be doing it. And these are the things that I'm saying. We have to educate ourselves and educate each other because people are not being thorough. People are not putting your life as a priority, even though this is the occupation and the career that they chose. We have to realize that maybe their heart isn't in being a doctor. We have to realize that sometimes people are pressured into becoming these things because the ego tells you this is an important job and this is what you need to give yourself value. We don't know what the trials and tribulations of other people from other perspectives go through. I know as a black person, but we don't know what white people go through, Asian people, Mexican people. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was their childhood like? What kind of pressures did their parents put onto them? And so to push them into this profession, if they were pushed into it, or maybe they've lost the passion and they feel defeated as well because maybe they started off really caring about the patient, but realized that there was sometimes your hands are tied and you get to feeling defeated as well, and it starts to reflect. But I feel like we need to start treating each other, each situation as a new situation, each patient as a new patient. Forget about what happened leave that in the past. Treat every doctor as a new experience, a new chance, a new opportunity to make it fulfilling and worthwhile, and getting you what you need. And so, but I was like, man, that was neglect right there. Like you didn't. I'm just coming right in, and I'm gonna do the test and it's gonna be faulty but luckily I'm like, God is work miracles. It was literally the same on the same day, like, so in the same time period of my cycle, which would be perfect for the timing. So I was like, okay, well, I'm good anyway. But I'm glad I thought about that because I'm like, I would have had to take the test all over again. And these are the things that we take in consideration. And, just being aware of that, it just gives you so much power that you're not so self-reliant or so dependent, and you're being more self-sufficient or self-efficient. I think, I don't know which word it is, but whatever, you know what I mean. You're being able to depend on yourself and not so much needing everybody else to give you the answers you need. And so I did my test. It was a great experience. White lady, young. It was a great experience. I started putting my prejudices to the side and just allow each experience to be new. You know, being myself and not taking things personally or like a personal attack on me based on my skin color. Not, and I'm not saying that this doesn't mean that racist things don't happen to me. But what I'm saying is, don't allow the things that have happened to you affect the things that can uh, happen to you or affect the way that you go about life, with this chip on your shoulder or with this negative prejudice against everybody. Because once you have that kind of defense on, that kind of, you're blocking your blessings. You're putting this negative, this dark perspective onto all situations that involve this type of person or that type of person. At the end of the day, remember, if you're not your skin tone, neither is that person. Sometimes your soul family doesn't look like you physically. And sometimes all your skin folk ain't your kin folk. And it just goes to show that sometimes just go for what you see, what you feel. How was this interaction? Focus on that. How was their customer service? How was their energy? Did you leave out of there feeling good? And then prior to that, I had did a lab to do like an ultrasound, And the lady, when I say she was so sweet, I think I talked about this on another video. But yeah, check that out. um, but yeah, so it was just a great experience. I'm putting those things to the side and allowing people to have benefit of the doubt. Now, don't get it wrong. That doesn't mean that some people may not be racist or some people may not be jerks, but still spreading your light. Don't let people harden your heart. Don't let them change who you are because they're going through something. They just took your power. You allow them to take your power when you allow them to change your heart. Don't do that. But yeah, that's my little word for that experience with that. And with that, I'm also, of course, I feel more comfortable with people who look like me because I feel like they can actually have a personal empathy because they may have experienced some of the same things. But sometimes when you have that monster mentality, you have a sense of racism for your own people because you have so much self hate. So be aware that when you interact with your own people, sometimes you may get the brunt of the traumas that they've experienced. It doesn't mean don't do it because I still feel comfortable, representation matters. It's just that be have compassion for them too, but also it's just going to show that sometimes the head start that other races have had allows them to have an advantage in certain ways that may be more beneficial to you than going to someone who may not be there yet. And that all goes to say that when looking for a new OB-GYN, I'm gonna not necessarily just look for black. I'm gonna look for what I feel um, resonates with my soul, what I feel like is just genuine energy, you know, and go from there. But yeah, as always, let God lead you. Pray for the best, for God to lead you in the right directions that you need to go that resonates with you, that you need to align more with your higher self, with your soul, and keep God first. As always, someone who cares, the spiritual activist. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out.